Welcome to Module 3. How does climate change impact infrastructure? In this module, you will learn about the impact of climate change on infrastructure. We will begin by defining different types of infrastructure and resilient infrastructure. We will then explore how climate change could impact energy, transportation, buildings, telecommunication, agriculture, water, and forestry infrastructure in Suriname. By the end of this module, you will be able to identify different climate infrastructure pathways, including downstream impacts, exposure, and vulnerability. What is infrastructure? Infrastructure can be defined as structures and facilities that underpin energy systems, transport, telecommunications, and buildings, especially in the urban context. Infrastructure is usually intended to deliver services in support of humans' quality of life. What types of infrastructure can be seen in this image from Suriname? Before we begin, let me provide a quick overview of infrastructure types and the life cycles which make up what we call the infrastructure landscape. So typically, infrastructure can be either built or natural. Built infrastructure refers to any human-made system, network, or facility. For example, we have roads, buildings, dams, electrical, water, waste, and bridges. Built infrastructure is usually designed to meet human needs and may be susceptible to damage or failure from climate hazards, aging, or lack of maintenance. Natural infrastructure on the right refers to natural or ecological systems that provide infrastructure-like services. These systems can either exist naturally or be added to areas. So for example, mangroves, wetlands, forests, and green space. Natural infrastructure usually functions as part of larger ecological systems that support animals, plants, clean air, and more. Usually, natural infrastructure has the ability to adapt, self-repair, and recover in the event of a climate hazard. Because of this, natural infrastructure can provide natural protection and does not require maintenance the same way that built infrastructure does. Each type of infrastructure has a life cycle that begins with planning and then moves through the life cycle, so procuring, designing, building, operating, maintaining, and regulating. Let's run through the infrastructure life cycle using an example of building a coastal road. In the planning phase, we would be asking the question, what and where will the roads be built? In the procuring phase, we will be managing the process of securing expertise to design and build the coastal roads. So what type of expertise and who will we need to design and build these roads? In the design phase, we will be creating, collaborating, and advising on the engineered designs for a coastal road. The building phase is pretty obvious. We will be constructing or overseeing the construction of the coastal road. In operating, this is after the road is built and may involve traffic management or management of the coastal road. Maintaining will involve keeping the coastal road conditions up to par, so this could involve inspections and repairs. And finally, regulating will involve creating and enforcing policies, regulations, and standards for coastal development as it relates to the coastal road that we've built. So now we know what infrastructure is. What is resilient or climate resilient infrastructure? Climate resilient infrastructure is infrastructure that is planned, designed, built, and operated in a way that anticipates, prepares for, and adapts to a changing climate. So resilient infrastructure can withstand, respond to, and recover rapidly from disruption or impacts caused by climate change with minimal interruptions to operations or services. There are many benefits to building resilient infrastructure assets and services. For example, lower risk of asset loss or failure. You may avoid costly damages. You will have a better emergency response, improved asset lifespan, You can strengthen social and environmental co-benefits that go along with resilient infrastructure, and there may be economic benefits to businesses. Let's look at how climate resilient infrastructure would perform when a climate event occurs. On this slide, we can see operational capacity of infrastructure on the left-hand side of our little graph here. And operational capacity is referring to how well the infrastructure, like a road or a dam, is operating. So, is it providing the level of service that it's supposed to? On the bottom, on the x-axis, we have time. So let's say our infrastructure asset or service is exposed to a climate event, let's say a flood or a heat wave. Compromised infrastructure, which is illustrated in the red here, will drop to a much lower operational capacity and take longer to recover to its original capacity. Sometimes, as can be seen on this graph, the infrastructure is not able to return to its original operational capacity without physical repair. However, in the same situation, resilient infrastructure, illustrated in the green, will still be impacted, but not to the same degree as the non-resilient infrastructure. So the climate resilient infrastructure will be able to bounce back to its original state of service much faster and much more cost effectively than non-resilient infrastructure and services. Let's shift our focus to infrastructure in Suriname. The World Economic Forum Global Competitiveness Report from 2013 ranked Suriname 79th out of 148 countries regarding the quality of its infrastructure. So specifically, the quality of its roads were ranked 71st, its port infrastructure was ranked 43rd, the electricity infrastructure was ranked 91st, and the mobile telephone subscriptions were ranked 7th. Currently, infrastructure developments focus mainly on the pavement of roads, rehabilitation of dams, and building public housing. Infrastructure activities have mostly been centered in the capital, Paramaribo, where the country's main economic activities take place. There are 6 key infrastructure sectors identified in Suriname's State of Climate Report. These sectors include energy, transportation, buildings and telecommunications, agriculture, water, and forestry. In the next videos, we will explore the types of climate impacts and downstream consequences for each of these infrastructure sectors.